All right. We're going to start standing. So we'll come to standing and take a moment to ground into this moment. Feel your feet on the mat. Allow your shoulders to relax down the back. And we'll take a few breaths. Inhaling from the belly first. You can even place a hand on the belly, feeling it rise and fall. Feeling all four corners of the feet. Lifting at the kneecaps. And lifting from the crown of the head. Their chin about parallel to the earth. Finding that place where the head is over the heart and the heart over the pelvis. In our mountain pose. And we'll notice if any parts, any muscles are particularly tense. Just observing, breathing into any area where you might notice some tension. Maybe through the jaw or the shoulders, low back, ankles even. Doing a quick scan, head to toe. And notice what you pick up on. And then we'll start to get into a little movement, a little flow, get the juices going. So I'm going to face the short edge of my mat here. And on an inhale, lift the arms up, look up. And then exhale, come all the way down into our forward fold. Bending at the hips, reaching the hips back. And dropping the head. Shaking out the head, a little yes, a little no. And drop the shoulders a little bit more. We'll take another breath in our forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift, drawing the hands up the legs. Catch a wave, and then exhale, forward fold all the way back down. Inhale, lift all the way up, reach up to the ceiling. And then exhale, we'll float all the way back down again, taking the hips backwards, arms out to the side, floating all the way back down. And from here, we'll walk the hands over to the right side. Maybe bending that left knee a little. Twisting through the torso. And then walk the feet back to center, or the hands. And then walk the hands over to the left side. Breathing into the right side body. Staying relaxed through the shoulders. And then walk back to center. We'll inhale, halfway lift again, drawing the elbows into the side, flat back, long neck. And exhale, float all the way back down. This time we will plant the palms. Take the right toes back, left toes back. Pause for just a moment. And then hugging the elbows in, we'll slowly lower all the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then inhale, lift up through the chest. Look forward, our baby cobra. And exhale, float the forehead back down. Come onto the knees. So press yourself up to tabletop position. And then tucking the toes under, we'll lift the hips up into our downward facing dog. With a little step in between there this time. And we'll pedal out through the feet. Taking one heel down, then the other, alternating heel and knee. Tick-tocking the hips a little side to side, starting to get into the side, into the hips, into the calves. Warming up through the lower body. And then we'll come to stillness and lift the hips up high and sink the heart down towards the knees, opening up through the shoulders. Still letting the hips lift up high as the heels sink down. Take a breath here. And then we'll walk the feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift all the way up, reaching up to the sky, long through the belly. And exhale, float all the way back down into our forward fold. And we'll plant the palms and take the right toes back and the left toes back into our plank pose for just a moment. Widening through the shoulder blades, pressing out through the heels. And then we'll come to the knees and we'll bring the elbows down to where the hands are. And then we'll sink the shoulders down like we're coming into a downward facing dog. Allow the shoulders, heart space to sink down towards the mat. And then we'll tuck the toes under and lift the hips up. Coming into a dolphin pose. Pressing firmly down into the elbows, into the fingers. All 10 fingertips, all 10 knuckles. Lifting the hips up high as we stretch through the shoulders, widening those shoulder blades. And then come back down to the knees. And then we'll take the right toes out, long, press through that right heel, and then take the left toes out long, lift up both kneecaps. And we've got the shoulders over the elbows here, hands facing forward, parallel lines into our forearm plank. Hugging up through the abs, long through the neck, looking to a space in the center of your hands. And then exhale, we'll come down to the knees again. And bring the hands back to where the elbows were. Back up under the shoulders. We'll come to our tabletop position. We'll take a breath and reset. Rotate the shoulders outward so we can see the elbow creases pointing towards the index fingers. And then we'll lift up through the right hand. Reach the right fingertips forward. Really firming up through the abs, reaching through those fingertips. And then bring the right hand down. We'll take a breath. And then inhale the left fingertips out long in front of you. Staying up out of that right shoulder. So if you notice we've started to sink down in here, see if we can press up into that palm and lift up out of that right shoulder. And then bring that hand back down. Then we'll take the right toes out long, lifting up off of the right knee. Then we'll lift up off the left knee. We'll come back to our plank. And grounding into that index finger and thumb on the left side, we will play around with the lifting through the right hand. Reaching the right hand forward. May shift a little bit into the left side. That's okay. We'll try to stay centered, and then we'll bring the right hand back down. It might help if you widen your feet a little bit here. Give yourself a little bit more center of gravity. And then grounding into the right index finger and thumb, hugging up through the abs, firmly tilting the pelvis a little bit, tucking it. We'll lift up through the left fingertips. Reach the left fingertips out long, So we do our one-arm plank pose. And then exhale, come back down and bring the knees back down. And take a breath. Awesome. Arm strengthening. Rotating back through the shoulders, making sure those elbow creases are still pointing forward. Feeling that space between the shoulder blades widen, almost like we're puffing up. And then we'll come up onto the right toes and then come flat down onto the right heel as we put our weight into the left hand and the left knee and lift the right hand up toward the sky. Look up towards those right fingertips. Lifting up a little bit out of that left shoulder. So using that energy from the right fingertips to draw you up a little bit higher, lifting through the right side waist. And then exhale, we'll come back down, back to all fours. And take a breath. And then we'll come up onto the left toes. And we'll repeat on that left side. Taking the left heel down, we'll come into the right knee and the right hand with our weight as we lift up through the left hand, reach the left hand up, stacking the shoulders, left shoulder over right shoulder, and looking up towards those left fingertips. And then using the energy from the left fingertips to pull you up maybe a little bit higher, using that left waist muscle here, that left side, to draw you up a little bit higher. And then exhale, we'll come back down onto all fours. And take the knees out wide, left to right, and sink the hips down to the heels. Come into our child's pose. Let the head sink down towards the mat. We'll leave the hands out long in front of us, but come up onto the fingertips. Stretching through the wrists a little bit here. Lifting up through the palms. And we'll take a few breaths. And then we'll bring our attention to the low back, breathing into the low back, and letting it widen with our inhale. And then we'll inhale and come back up to all fours. And from here, we will tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and just hover for just a moment. Just a few inches above the mat. Shoulders over wrists. I'm adjusting because my hands got out a little wide. Puffing up again through that shoulder blade area. And then exhale, we'll bring the knees back down. And then we'll bring the hips back to the heels, but walk the hands up. So we're going to stay upright here and come into a little toe stretch. If this is terribly uncomfortable, you can come down onto the top of your feet. And we'll try to get our toes just a little stretching here. But if you have any really intense toe pain or cramping, we'll go ahead and take a moment and get off those toes. And then we'll rotate through the wrists here a little bit. Been on our wrists a lot, so we'll take a few minutes to give the wrists a little love. We'll take another breath like this. Working through the wrists, stretching through the toes, the tops of the knees, and into the hips. And then we'll come back on all fours. And then we will come onto the left toes. We'll stay on the right knee here for just a moment. And then we'll lift up the right knee. And draw the right knee up to the right elbow, really hugging up through the abs. And then bring the right knee down, bring the left knee down. Take a breath. And then we'll come up onto the right toes, lifting that right kneecap, and then lifting the left knee up and drawing the left knee up towards the left elbow, hugging up through the abs, pressing firmly through both hands. And then come back down onto the left knee and down onto the right knee. And we'll take a breath.